Hi again everyone, and welcome to the second video of the day, which is going to be about the bot structure itself, and how the vision is for how bot services are going to run in the future, because we are going to look to change the way the model kind of operates, not in terms of the pay for profit system as a concept, but in terms of how you pay and just the way in which it will work potentially is going to be quite different to how it is in its current form. So what the experience I gained from the fallout of the having to stopping for the time and potentially having to reimburse with points, etc. The big problem with what we've got as the current setup is that when a user purchases a certain amount of points, 30 points, 40 points, 50 points, automatically it creates a relationship where the tipster is essentially in debt to the customer for those points until that profit is made. And if that profit is not made, then there's an issue where those points have not been fulfilled for the subscriber, but often it could be the case that the tipster does not have the, or my situation does not have the financial capability of refunding on that scale, and a lot of the income is based on, past, etc. And the problem with refunds and so forth is it's very hard for someone like me as a self-employed individual to budget and to know what kind of cash flow I've got if I'm having to worry about future payments across. So you have this kind of relationship where a lot of the payments being taken are almost like a prepayment in advance, and you work that debt down, and then there's that assumption that over time the profit will be made and it's paid back, and then you go into debt again. But the problem is you're always going to end up in debt to the tipster that way. And if a tipster wants to stop or quit, which is bound to happen on the platform in the future, then you're left with a dynamic where you'd be the client is in debt to the tipster, and there's this policy of we don't want to be giving refunds for the aforementioned reason, for budgeting, but the maintenance, but just tax purposes, and it creates an issue. And I had a really difficult time trying to figure out exactly how to go about it, because it didn't necessarily feel fair. And I actually really appreciated everyone's reaction to when I stopped my service. Everyone was super understanding. I got no messages at all which I felt were out of line, and I am very grateful for that, because it ends up being it was a mess, and the whole situation has made me realize I have to rethink how this business model is going to work moving forward, so that tipsters are able to leave if they want to leave or change to a different model, but also for clients to be able to feel comfortable that if a tipster goes on a losing run and the investment's not going to be refunded, that they're okay with that. So me and my brother have been thinking quite a bit about how to restructure the model so that it's fairer and then less friction in terms of how tipsters would be able to come onto the platform and leave the platform if required, without there being a sense of resentment or a sense of needing to give refunds because of how the system works. So what the idea is, and this is looking at a time frame of a few months perhaps, is to change the model so that it's almost pay as you go. So or at least have the option of having pay as you go. So how it will work is that, let's say you start an account up with a new tipster and you're on 0 points. You'll essentially, let's say you have a winning bet and you go to -3 points, then you're in credit to the tipster of 3 points, and you have to pay 3 or 4 points to get your account back into the positive. Now the current problem is that if you have to do that all the time, each time you're in negative to get to positive, it's going to be high maintenance for the user, because you're always having to make consistent payments. And a lot of the time you might just want to purchase a lot more credits because of that reason. It's just more convenient. You don't have to worry about making another payment. But it does lead to the problems as mentioned before. So what we were thinking instead is to have a situation where basically the card details of each of users on the bot would be stored in a secure location, like we wouldn't have them or anything to be able to manipulate. It's just it would be in a server somewhere. I'm not a technical person, so I don't know exactly how it quite works, but all I know is they'll be securely stored. And basically, after you've made a payment with that card or whatever on the bot, you would be able to choose the option of making recurring payments if required. And what that would mean is that anytime your balance on a bot drops below 0, your account can get topped up to between 0 and 1 credit automatically after a certain period of time. So let's say I had a bet on McDonald versus Rune, 2 points at 2.5, and your account's currently on 0 points or 1 point. The bet makes 3 points. What will happen is the bot then, the server will check every half an hour after a tip is settled. So half an hour after I settle that tip on the bot, the bot will then check your account balance automatically. If your account then is at a deficit of say like 3 points, your account would automatically have a payment taken of 4 points to take your account back to 1 point, and then you receive the next tips. What this means is that you're never going to be in debt to the tipster's, not going to be in debt to you from a large purchase, and you've paid just primarily for that profit that you've just made. So you're literally just reinvesting that profit straight away, but no more than is required. It takes away the issue of having big liabilities to customers, and it feels far fairer to do it that way. Now I understand that there will be people that will maybe struggle with the security issue of having automatic payments. I understand that there might be people that have a preference still for what the current format is. But what we would say is that, that if you want to do that, that's a risk you take in making a bulk purchase. But we are offering an alternative means that is far less likely to need refunds down the line or whatever, or to give you any more liability than you have to. So if you want to sort of not have your card details saved, it will be possible to just buy 15 points or whatever and just follow in the same way as you are now. But if you want to have that extra security and not have that worry of what happens if the tipster stops sending tips and I've purchased 50 points and there's been no profit, then that is solving that problem, so your liability is low. So so we really want to restructure it so that bulk purchases aren't the common thing. We want it to be low, small purchases, which also I think is provides more incentive for the tipster, because if you have a number of clients and you're all on similar number of points and you have a winning run and you're constantly making profit, that's great cash flow for the tipster and they're getting that money in straight away. Whereas if people are purchasing 50 points or whatever, it's not the same. So I really think this is going to be a really beneficial change to both, the tipster and to guys that want to utilize that, because I hadn't really thought through the business model about how I wanted the payment structure to operate in terms of understanding exactly what bulk discounts would mean in terms of incentives, etc. I thought initially, it's just a sign of loyalty, discounts for bigger purchases, and didn't really realize, the fundamentals effects of making that decision. I just thought it was, with time, I think I've realized, no, that's not what I think the best model is. Let's change that payment model. And so going forward, the discounts on larger purchases won't exist, because, as I say, I want to that's not an incentive that I want to create for a subscriber. I want it to be smaller purchases, lower liabilities for the subscriber, which is fair, and for them to be able to top up their account as they go, if they so wish to, and also to not offer refunds on that basis, because we're keeping the liabilities deliberately low and you're paying for the profit each time. So that's avoiding a lot of the issues that I had when I stopped, and I feel far more comfortable having a setup like that. So as I was saying, this is going to be the automatic kind of thing, will be optional only, because of anyone that doesn't feel comfortable doesn't have to share the card details, etc., and how that will work. But equally, it will be the most efficient way of having your account kept on topped up to between 0 and 1, and then so you're never in a big debt. So I would very much recommend it if you want to, when that is available. I think there are quite a few changes that I've made just generally to balance out what that situation is. So for example, the minimum purchase now is far lower. You can purchase a minimum of 2 credits, and the maximum now is a lot lower as well, so it's 10 credits. We're thinking of having a default highest purchase that you can get to is like 15 points. That's not currently implemented, but it's something that probably will be. What I would say is, if there are people that really want to top up their account and go higher, then we probably will allow for that. But it's obviously you have to be aware of the risks involved. So minimum points purchased to 2 points, max to 10 points. Also, because we're dropping the discount on bulk purchases, we're looking to create new incentive elsewhere. And really what we're struggling with, or what is going to be important in terms of being able to grow this business and incentivize tipsters to join, is going to be expanding the user base. And I am going to be looking into marketing a lot more myself, and looking to kind of like establish contacts that might be able to help with the growth side of things, because it is a weak point for me. Like, I don't have any experience, so it is the one thing that we are having difficulty with, is just the expansion of the user base, because ultimately the more users we have using the bot, the more subscribers per tipster, the more revenue they generate, and the more they're likely to stay on the platform. At the moment, I feel like the tipsters are being generous with their time and effort for the income that, you know, is being generated. And I'm sure that can change. That will change over time, but we've got to create an incentive system that tipsters want to like, yeah, this is really worth my time using the platform, and like we're in it for the long term. So, you know, in a really roundabout way, I wanted to make that point first, but the referral scheme that we have is going to be even a bit more favourable than what it is when I first mentioned it a few months ago. There's going to be a page on the website explaining exactly how it works, but essentially it's going to be anyone who's following a bot will and has referred one member will get an automatic 10% discount on their points. If they have referred 2 members, that will jump to 20, and 3 members 25%, and this will be the case for the next 12 months. You'll have that discount on your points, and it will be based on the date of those referrals that were made. And this is also alongside the fact you get 3 points every time that user makes a purchase. So you'll have a discount on the points generally, and you'll also get 1 point extra added to your account for every 10 points purchased. So I'd like to think, you know, there's real kind of incentive for, you know, being able to get new members here if you are enjoying the platform. And of course, like from my perspective, I'd be very grateful for anyone who's sharing the word, because ultimately that's what's gonna, you know, help the whole attraction of the concept, which, you know, I'm sure anyone viewing this is viewing this because they're as into it as, or they like the concept as much as I do, and it would be really great to see it take off a little bit more. Yeah, the other final thing to mention is both AAA Better and Portugal Bets bot prices are going to increase to £7.50 a point, and probably stay at that rate for a little while. Yeah, just you know, I think I'm going to leave pricing to the discretion of the tipster, sort of, so to speak. So, you know, it's that's a change that's being made as well. Yeah, I might have other things that I haven't covered. Just generally in terms of the reason I feel that the whole thing of what I was mentioning at the start is so important in terms of credit and debit and changing that relationship with the client is because I don't want to get into situations where a client has to sign a contract saying that, a tipster has to sign a contract saying that they're going to be on the platform for a certain period of time, or have to give tips or whatever. Or, you know, because if you do that, I feel like it adds way too much friction for tipsters wanting to join. It's too much of a commitment. But equally, you know, at the moment, tipsters can, you know, I've got no obligation to stop a tipster leaving the platform, and I think it's okay if their individual circumstances are such that they do need to leave the platform, that they can, and whether it's because they want to utilize another model, etc. I think it's important to, you know, to acknowledge that that is a possibility that can happen, but equally, yeah, we don't want to be in a situation where we're screwing clients over because they've purchased a large amount of points that, you know, there's no real way of getting back to them, as was the case with my own service, unfortunately, which is obviously why I'm trying to rectify it with the current changes. So yeah, that's pretty much all. Just another thing, just on the tipsters generally, we've still got AAA Better. The Premier League season's just started, so very excited to follow after a really strong season last year, and an ROI of around 13% on the bot bets on the high limit market so far. We've got Bonds, who's obviously doing great, so consistent on both profit and ROI. And we've got outside rides and Portugal bets as well. Outside rides, I'm sure that anyone following is aware of the communication, and there was quite a detailed post a few weeks ago explaining a bit of thoughts about the slight drawdown of around 23 minus 23 points on BSP at the moment, but also gave lots of reasons for optimism. And I know the Tips individually is a very intelligent person, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the service takes off at some point. And also Portugal bets very solid on the betting results generally. Hasn't really taken off on the high limit markets in terms of results wise yet, but there's no harm being done equally. So hopefully an upswing can happen, and that's going to be in good shape if it does. So and MW value bets and top notch draws have left the bot. Both of them a real pleasure to work with, and I'm glad I gave. I'm glad they both had the opportunity to use the bot. MW Value is running his own service for the lower leagues now, so obviously if you're not aware, feel free to check that out still. And top notch draws, I think, just sort of said to me that with the draws generally and the short-term variance on the Picchio at first was probably an over expectation of the results to follow, and so there was like an over-performance factor, and just generally the incentives with the bot in terms of we weren't having enough customers to make it worth his time, so he's left the bot. But honestly, a real pleasure to work with Kyriakos as well, and wish them both all the best in the future. So yeah, that's wrapping up everything that I want to say. But I am generally, now that I've got this idea of the vision of what I want this bot to do, and I feel more comfortable with how it's easier for tipsters to enter and exit the bot strategy with these new kind of conditions in play, I feel like more confident in being able to allow more tipsters onto the platform. And it's going to be something that over the next 12 months or just over the foreseeable future now, I just really want to prioritize the growth of this platform, because I think it could be something really great in the industry. And I hope everyone agrees that I feel like we've done a really good job so far with the features and the product itself, and maybe like the insights that I give you, but we just need to get to a situation where it's generating enough of an income to be to take it to the next level, and for us to expand and really take advantage of the product that we have. So anyone that's supporting that in any way through references, referrals, and purchasing tips on the bot, I'm massively grateful for that. So cheers guys, and whenever I feel like there could be an update, I'll give one. So yeah, all the best.